DDG episode 54. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
Hey Dave, how is it going? How was your weekend?
It was okay. So enough stuff going on this week with combination the last 10 days, combination of changing stores, Halloween, the election, and some other family stuff. It's just been a crazy 10 days. Not as
I don't know about you.
Yeah, yours is up there too. So
mine's been pretty intense, but like the weekend did have its fun moments. Feels like an orange weight has been lifted off the shoulders, and it's been kind of great weekend. But there's some other things going on because COVID still exists, guys.
Yep.
Hey, COVID is still a problem.
I'm just happy the number of people that voted in our country is very, very high. That's what I'm happy about.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Regardless of the outcome, 4 years is not enough time for any one person, but that is, the pendulum is swinging a different direction. Is that direction better? It looks like it could be, but We'll find out.
Yes,
so.
potentially.
All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming, and that's about as political as you'll ever hear me get on a public forum. We are a weekly podcast that streams live on Twitch on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. A little late this week, just with things going on as usual. And we launch on podcast platforms every Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern. If you could leave us a review on your platform, that would be much appreciated. And sharing the show helps a ton. There are a ton of links in the show notes, and I'm not going to bore you guys. If you need to check out anything of a way to follow us or to contribute to us, it's in the show notes. We are going to jump right into the news, and it doesn't seem like it's the last 5 or 6 days prior to launch I don't think has been very good for Sony.
I think it's been actually great for Sony. It's just the little things that we're starting to get. But this week there's not a ton of big news. It's just a little bit of stuff as details are being filled in. PS5 and Xbox reviews have gone up all over the internet for people that got those early. It's been pretty positive. PlayStation and Xbox are exceeding expectations in terms of like their hardware and the special features for that. Xbox, of course, has the caveat that they just don't have launch games to speak of.
Sony has
but overall, yeah, so Sony has
one
if you combine the others into one thing. They make two. But the good thing is about PlayStation is people have been really happy with the backwards compatibility. It's better than they thought it was going to be. The only thing that came up that seemed like a caveat, other than like the UI stuff, which I'm really want to dig into this week, is the PlayStation 5 cannot store PS5 games on external drives. Which, when this news came out, me and a couple other people on Twitter were all like dumbfounded of like, I thought they said you could do this, but it turns out PS5 games cannot be stored on an SSD. Originally, I believe Sony did say you would be able to put PS5 games there just for storage, and then you can move them back to the internal SSD when you want to play them. But it turns out you can't do that. You can store PS4 games on an external drive and play from the external drive and transfer them to SSD. You just can't do that with PS5 games. And the expansion SSD stuff isn't going to be there at launch, mostly because there's no hard drives really available right now. There's the one I talked about last week that is hinted that it'll be compatible, but it looks like it just won't be built into the firmware on day one.
It won't work. Usable. I think if you plug a drive in, it's not going to work.
Yeah, so even if it meets the standards.
Yeah, so we're going to have to wait for Sony to release a firmware that says we turned the port on.
Yeah. Last week, I think I talked a lot about how I'm going to handle the storage stuff. The news that I cannot store PS5 games on an external kind of changed how I was doing things just ever so slightly. And the fact that the SSD expansion is TBD.
Yeah, because this significantly hurts people like even like you mentioned last week about that have data caps. Like, yeah, you can. No, you can't, because you were initially saying, oh, put Warzone on an external, and then when I want to play it, plug it in, go make a sandwich or something and let it transfer over. Like, you can't do that. So you'll have to re-download it each time. And if it's true that it's supposed to be like 200 gigs, that's a third of the available space on a PS5 digital or physical right now. And so like that's kind of sucks. for people like internet cap speeds. Like I'm in the camp of just delete and download, like, because I'm lucky enough that I have internet ISP competition in my neighborhood, and the internet that I have partially because of streaming and what we do here with audio uploads and video uploads. Like the investment for me to have high quality internet is worth it. On top of the fact that I have a college student doing virtual college from home, and my wife is teaching, and she's got a lot of stuff to do that is there. So I'm fortunate that I don't have a cap and I have high speed internet. So like it's okay for me to be in the delete and re-download camp. But I know some people and friends of mine that have caps, a terabyte and a half, 800 gigs. And what does that mean in a month that you can only I'm sure that it's not apples to oranges, but you can only delete and download Warzone 3 times.
Yeah. So I ended up burning through like 400 gigs this weekend just because I'm like, okay, I'm going to download Red Dead again. Let me download Ghost. I'm basically preparing my external SSD for the PS5. So I was like, okay, what are the games? With
PS4 games.
Yeah, with PS4 games. So I've just been loading that external with PS4 games that I want to play on a PS5 because I'm just like, let me get that extra boosted, frame rate resolution stuff. So like I ended up downloading like 5 games, and I looked at it and I used like 500 gigs.
Yeah.
Of my cap.
I mean, like I look at it like this. Like I worry about something, even from my standpoint. Okay, so December 8th or whatever, 8th or 10th, like Destiny gets the next gen upgrade. So that means I'm going to want to have that on my PS5 hard drive to take advantage of the SSD, to take advantage of the frames. I'm assuming in order for me to get those features, it's going to have to be on the SSD, directly on the PlayStation 5 hard drive. So that's like 70 or 80 gigs because the game is actually shrinking. But then, like there's so much thought that's going to have to go into it. So I'm just going through a core couple games that I'm playing. If I want to play Horizon, I can play that, or any of the PS Plus collection games. Like, are you going to get the benefits if you put your PS Plus collection games on the external? Is Days Gone going to run 60 frames because it's a PS4 game?
So it will get that boost. It just, you won't see the faster loading that you would get. You would be bottlenecked by the USB 3.1 if you're using a USB 3.1 for your external drive, which most external drives are USB 3.0. So you'll still get the 60 frames, you'll get the higher resolutions, you just lose out on some of that loading speeds, which is why I went the route of using an external SSD, which is a premium. But even then, that external SSD is not nearly as fast as the internal PS5 SSD. So I'm losing out on the loading screens, which is honestly, or the loading times. That is the biggest bummer for me, is because that's like, sadly, this gen, that is the most important thing to me, is the loading times.
But we've always talked about like the Call of Duty player and the Madden player. So now all of a sudden, if you put Modern Warfare, Warzone, and I guess Modern Warfare and Warzone are kind of like one game right now, right?
It's one game, 200 gigs. You can have them separate. You can have Warzone by itself, and that's like 120 gigs or something.
Okay.
But if you want Modern Warfare with Warzone, it's like 200 gigs.
Yeah. So, and then if you put Black Ops on there and you put Madden on there, like your drive's pretty much full. Like, like you might be able to squeeze like Bug Snack in there or something. But it's go ahead.
And then there's also the thing that like sometimes with computers, like if you fill up that hard drive space, I don't know if you've seen this on a PS4. When your hard drive's nearly full, your UI sometimes will chug a little bit. So I'm wondering what that's going to look like on the like the PS5 in terms of like filling up that internal SSD. Will we notice some things? Because it's going to be really easy, especially like I looked at the games that I'm going to have, PS5 games I'm going to have downloaded on my system day one, and it's going to be Miles Morales, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Bug Snacks, and then probably Demon Souls. And I'm probably looking at like half my hard drive space just for that.
And like for me, it'll be like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed and Destiny. I'll probably see if I can play Destiny off the external, just at least for the first month.
But because it'll be the PS4 version, so you would be able to.
Yeah, so I mean, but it's going to fill up pretty quick. I mean, and even the funnier part is because I mean, everybody knows it's no secret. I'm using the Series S as like a Game Pass device. It's going to be upstairs in my living room. That thing's only got like 325 gigs of space on it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing a lot of delete and re-downloading. Then I hope that they're at a catch-22 though. Like I hope Xbox is in a year like the proprietary memory drops in price, but at the same time like it's proprietary, so they don't have to drop it in price. But I also realize now that I can dig around and see if I have another external hard drive. I can, at least on the Xbox Series, I can play games off the external hard drive. So I could download a handful of Game Pass games to the external and get an extra, even if it's only like a 500 gig hard drive.
Yeah, with the Xbox Series S, Game Pass literally is emphasized game. It's like a singular game from that pass you'll be able to install on that hard drive. And then Savage in the chat mentioned that the ability to like pause a game and launch a new game, like the quick resume stuff, that's not available on the PS5, at least not towards launch. While on the Series S and X, you can have like 4 games.
Yeah, and you can also it'll do the quick resume from like a full shutdown.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. That's something like I'm not too bummed out that I'm missing out on a feature because even though I play multiple games at one time, I'm never switching between them. I really need to switch between that. Unless it's like a multiplayer game. But
but then you're connected to a server and you get kicked off. Yeah. So because for me it'd be like, I'm playing Watch Dogs. Like, let me go. Like, my buddy's online. Let me help him with something with Destiny for a little bit. Go back to Watch Dogs. That's when I would want to be able to just go right back to Watch Dogs. I wouldn't expect to be able to go to Watch Dogs Destiny, nor would I do it.
Yeah. But it's still a bummer that that's not there. Though I'm waiting for. I don't trust that shit. Like suspending the game in the background. I'm waiting for people to run into issues with the Xbox Series consoles where they put something to resume and didn't save it, and they go to load up their system and it like crashed. Or if another game crashes, will that destroy all the quick resumes that you have going in the background?
And then we're getting all the weird stuff now too. Is like, so a couple weeks ago, like Watch Dogs Legion was overheating Series X's. One PlayStation 5 overheated in like a Best Buy display case.
Which I've seen those display cases. I remember the Target ones felt like space heaters.
Yeah,
so.
they're not built to breathe. And then and Sony released a pretty extensive FAQ this week talking about making sure you have don't stick it up against the wall, like get it 4 to 6 inches away from a wall, and don't put a cloth over it. And everybody laughs at those things, but those warning labels and those disclaimers exist because somebody did it. Yep,
someone did it at one point.
Do not collapse playpen with child inside. Somebody did it.
Yeah. Take baby out of buggy before. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to just another quick story. So PT was playable on the PS5 for reviewers, and then Konami found out and told Sony to please remove that from backwards compatibility with PS5. So now PT is not playable on the PS5. So the way people were playing it, I believe, since you can't re-download it, is they had it on an external drive.
Or the wire transfer, right?
Yeah, the wire transfer, the whole system transfer that you can do.
The LAN adapter, the LAN cable, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it turns out Konami, though PlayStation was very nice and said they didn't name Konami by name, but they said it was removed due to a publisher request. And it's like, I wonder, was it the publisher of PT? It looks like PT is not playable. I still don't understand. There has to be something contract-wise with Kojima that they either need to pay him if it's available to play or something.
He gets a penny for every click.
It has to be some weird contractual obligation.
The Bobby Bonilla clause.
that makes people... Is that one of the baseball players that have been paid for 20 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Mets pay him like $1.3 million a year for like the last 25 years or something.
Gotta love those contracts. I think Jordan just came off the Bulls book like 10 years ago or something like that. So something's got to go on with Konami to where they do this and they know they're going to take the hit for it, like goodwill wise, or people are going to drag their name through the mud, but they have to do this.
Here's the thing, like I get it, and I think it's more or less like it's just to have fun and mess around with it, but like nobody paid for this, so they can do whatever the hell they want with it. Like, you don't own it. Like, it was like a demo, and I think this is also part of the reason why you're seeing less and less demos and betas now because people are like trying to. We've always heard those. I think even like, and I'm not criticizing you for doing it, but I think you've even done something similar where a beta ended, but you stayed online for like 8 hours afterwards, right? Like you stayed connected.
Yeah, there was a couple games where like
Yeah.
they like I don't know if the publisher just forgot to turn the servers off or they couldn't turn them off as long as people were still playing. But during the PS3 era, I definitely did that. I don't think I've done that in the PS4 era, but PS3 definitely have been like, I'm gonna just keep going until like it hits me with an error message.
Yeah, so I feel like these betas or demos either don't show enough or they show like way too much, which is why I think we're seeing a lot of these like free weekends now. Like Ubisoft is notorious for this. Like, oh, just play the game for free, and if you like playing it, you can just buy it at a discounted price and then pick up your progress. But you know, the people are clamoring so much for like a Silent Hill game, and this is essentially what PT was. And you know, and also it's just happens to be corresponding around Halloween time too. It's just kind of one of those like perfect storms that was happening with people having PS5s in their hands. Oh, it's, you know, it's Halloween. Like, what do you play at Halloween? Oh, remember PT? Oh, let's see if it works. Holy crap, it works. And Sony's like, oh shit. Like,
yeah. Well, no, Sony's like, oh shit, and then Konami is like, oh shit, take that down. So yeah, that's just a random vein of this Konami being Konami, and we'll see what goes on from there. I'm guessing they just continue to do nothing with the Silent Hill franchise until Microsoft or Sony come and take it from them with a big dump truck of money. Okay, this is a good news story. Spider-Man is going to actually get the save transfer from PS4 to PS5. Insomniac announced that today. Which I remember there were some people upset about this. I think me and you came to the conclusion that it just makes sense that like they remastered the Spider-Man game, you know, new Peter Parker and all that stuff. So why would the save transfer over? It's new trophies. But it turns out they are Insomniac continuing to be like one of the best studios to their fans. They are going to work on a patch so you can export your save to the remastered version of Spider-Man, and that patch will come around Thanksgiving. Yeah, and they're going to also add the new suits.
So repeat that. Not on Thursday. Like
yeah, it said around Thanksgiving. So either going to be the week before Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving. It's not going to be Thanksgiving day. But they're also adding the suits. This is Insomniac. Insomniac has been like way better than the community sometimes deserves.
Yeah.
In terms of how people wanted.
I get why they're doing this because like if people were like upset and outraged. I first when I saw it I was a little annoyed, and then I realized or I'd forgotten that like this is a full like they have remastered this game already in a quick turnaround or just kind of a quick turnaround. It's been out for almost 2 years, or it will be 2 years. So that is enough time. We've seen Last of Us get remastered that quickly. We've seen some other franchise games get, you know, with generational jumps like we're having right now get remastered. But I think that I understand Insomniac being good to their fans, and like I think this is a nice thing. But I think it's setting a standard for that other developers were like, oh god damn it, you know?
Yeah, just like stick to your guns, guys.
No, but I mean, like now if somebody releases like I can't even think of an example. If for some reason they release like a remastered like a 4K Skyrim, like now they're gonna be like, well, Insomniac did it, why can't you do it? You know, and it's like,
or more realistically, like The Last of Us Part 2. You know, like that would be a game that I wouldn't be surprised gets a full remaster, and then it's just like, hey, Insomniac did this.
I mean, Ghost is just going to run better. Days Gone is just going to run better.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's weird, and Sony's done this to themselves. Like we saw like the commercial ad this week of like, you know, I've seen some people on the internet today going, oh, you know, like they had to come out, like they had their ad for like they showed Horizon 2, they showed Ratchet and Clank, they showed Gran Turismo. They had some fine print crap in there that says like these games are coming out like this time, and you know, everybody's like, oh, like we're gonna be playing Ratchet and Clank in like February because it said Q1 2021. I'm like, is that Sony physical quarter or is that an actual real quarter? Like, which quarter is that? Because if it's Sony's physical Q1, that's like May.
Yeah, so. It's not February. It's just Insomniac has been just so great during this like Spider-Man stuff, even though they've had mixed messaging, which I'm assuming is not their fault, the mixed messaging. I'd probably say it's mostly on Sony's side. But in terms of like fans demanded the the Amazing Spider-Man costume, and they wanted the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man costume, and they were getting very like rude with Insomniac, and then Insomniac still gave them those costumes, and for free. So Insomniac has been really good at listening to the community and giving them what they want, and this is just another thing of Insomniac being like, hey, you know what? Here you guys go.
Yeah,
don't know why you guys need this because there's new trophies that aren't going to unlock by transferring your save over, but here you go.
Yeah, I mean the Into the Spider-Verse suit is almost almost making me pre-order. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, only because like I've spent a significant amount of money this week. So
yeah, I keep debating on going physical or digital for the Spider-Man game.
I don't have a choice. So,
yeah. Part of me just wants to see how fast a disc gets ripped to the SSD. When you get a new console.
But I mean, there's also been some good things too. Like it looks like today, like they've said that you can remote play PS5 on your PS4. You know how that's going to work will be interesting, but I think it'd be cool like if I can play Spider-Man on my PS4 upstairs in my bedroom like before I'm going to bed, remote play, and I'll have to move my PlayStation around if I want to, similar to the same thing with like xCloud and the ability to access it more. The remote play is getting updated on the phones and everything like that, so just I've got that new Bluetooth controller that I've been messing with, so like if there's the possibility that this stuff can work at least even within my house, like it'll be nice.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next bit. Is there anything else that you've noticed from the Sony reviews that are going on, the PlayStation reviews, the Xbox reviews? Anything that you think were notable? I hate the UI. That's my thing.
For both or for Sony?
Both. Yeah. I've always hated the Xbox UI. I think the Xbox UI is atrocious. I think the PlayStation 5 UI, it seems like they've added some steps to do things that you're just able to do on the PS4 within like one or two steps. They added like 2 or 3 to them. But you'll probably notice that stuff when you actually get it in your hands.
Yeah,
I've been watching.
I'm sure that I'll care like when I'm doing it, but like right now I'm like whatever.
It's this past weekend. It's been CNN on my TV and my phone has been running YouTube like video reviews for the PS5 and watching all the UI reviews. And I just noticed some random stuff. Did you notice anything though?
I mean, it's not going to do 1440p. PS5 isn't.
Yeah, but I've heard games say that number, so I'm confused by that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it seems like some of the messaging, like there's some mixed messaging. It seems like it's kind of like up and down, and I'm just ready for this to get into people's hands and just to see like. There's been all this, discussion around you can use a DualShock 4 on a PS5 as long as you're playing a PS4 game. You can't use a DualShock or DS5 on a PS4, and it's like, and people, it's just like when your competition is doing one thing and you're doing the other thing, it's different. It's not, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those things of like, you're gonna like. Can I play, like if I'm playing Tower, like I'm just using it as an example, if I'm playing Towerfall Ascension off of my PS4 external drive, can I use a DualSense? And I think right now the answer is no. I don't know actually. No. It's a PS5. You're playing on PS5, so it'll work. So that means that now all of a sudden you have a couple extra controllers, and then it's like just little things that were weird. Like it supports 4 controllers, which is fine. But then I'm thinking like, okay, what if
that's what the PS4 did? Yeah.
But I thought it went more with moves and stuff.
PS3 was 7.
Okay.
PS4 was just always 4. But I believe you can Bluetooth some peripherals. Like technically my Rock Band is like 2 microphones, a controller for the microphone, a drum set, a guitar, another guitar, bass.
It also
so you can peripheral your way through.
It looks like game sharing might be a little easier.
It looked mostly the same to me in terms of you have your primary and.
But I think it's easier to figure it out, like in terms of being able to just kind of. What I saw, I saw a quick video of it. I was a little bit more confused when I saw the video, but it looked like it was a little easier. Not that that's like a determining factor or anything like that, but there are some. My son, being able to access certain things when my son gets a PS5, which he will. He'll probably get his like in February or March, just because he'll have more money then. But. Just the ability to access those things. So I mean, it seems like so far like there's good and bad, and then the Sony not having it's like not having units available in stores for I don't know. It's the messaging is just so confusing between. They didn't say that you wouldn't be able to get it like at a store, but they just said you wouldn't be able to stand in line and purchase it. So
yeah, most stores, like, you will do an online order and then you'll pick it up in a store.
right.
But you won't be able to go into a store without an online order and pick up a console,
Yeah.
which just makes sense. Though some of the retailers have had like some mixed messaging in terms of like them advertising, hey, Black Friday, we're going to have these in stock. And Sony just being like, hey, these might not be in stock anywhere for the foreseeable future.
Right.
So there's been weird messaging with that, but I don't even think that's a Sony problem. I think that's just a retail in 2020
I just
problem.
don't know how you like, and this is, you know, from like over 20 years of retail experience for me now. It's I just don't know how you're going to tell a retailer what they can or can't do with a product that they purchased. Like that.
I don't think it's necessary that they can tell the retailer. It's just the supply is what the supply is. So I don't think a retailer can really go beyond.
Right, but Sony's
their
message
supply
on
is.
that blog said that you will not walk into a store and see a PlayStation 5 on the shelf.
Yeah, I don't trust that being an actual thing. I think there's going to be some disappointed people when they find out their friend went into a GameStop and was able to buy one.
Well, I also think the dumb luck factor's in there too as well, where all of a sudden they have 1 or 2 PS5s because somebody couldn't pay their pre-order off in the 36-hour window.
Yeah.
Like
or
that
I think you have like 3 days
Yeah.
to pick up most in-store items.
Or somebody comes in and says that they can't, you know, like they canceled their pre-order because they didn't get the money they needed between now and then to pay for it or whatever. So
they will be eaten up by retail managers who will sell it on eBay.
So, but yeah, it's just weird. I just want everybody to get their systems and be safe. I mean, I'm getting 2 new systems this week, and I'm kind of just at a meh feeling about it right now, because it's like it's me. Like, I don't know if it's just because I'm older. I mean, I was pretty excited when the PS4 launched. You know, I don't know if it's just because like of everything that's going on right now in the world. But it's just like I'm excited for it, but at the same time, it's like I'm getting it kind of just to help cover it, but I'm not doing anything special because they're coming. And that's also like this week I've got Destiny, I've got Xbox Series S coming, PS5, I still have Watch Dogs, I have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like, there's plenty of stuff that I can do and entertain me, and
but do you have the time?
It's not even that I have the time. Do I have the energy right now? Like,
yeah.
So.
Well, I have more energy now than usual. Okay, so some good news, kind of. Mass Effect Trilogy Legendary Edition was announced. So N7, which is like the Mass Effect...
November 7th, yeah.
Yeah. It's the Mass Effect fan event day, though it got completely overshadowed by the election stuff. So EA announced that day that Mass Effect Trilogy will be released on next-gen platforms in 2021, and it's going to come with better resolution, steadier frame rates. I think 4K HD is what they said. Ultra 4K HD. Some weird phrasing that this means, hey, it's going to be 4K with HDR probably.
So like you said, not a remake. So.
Yeah, it's not a remake. So this is going to be more in line with how they've been doing the Need for Speed games, I'm assuming, where it's just like, hey, it runs. It's not going to be a complete recreation of these games, even though Mass Effect 1 probably needs one. That's the oldest of those games and definitely has some aspects of it that were kind of annoying back then that it probably just are even more annoying now after 3 sequels to Mass Effect that have reiterated on that. So good news for Mass Effect fans. This has been like the worst kept secret. I think EA is just notorious for when they do remasters of just pretending it doesn't existed no matter how many different countries rate the game. So fans should be happy. They're just not as ecstatic as they probably would be when you see like the work Insomniac is putting into the Spider-Man remaster just 2 years later, or looking at the Demon Souls recreation, or any of the other PlayStation and like Halo remakes that have gone on.
Like, Mass Effects are big games. They're big games. Yeah. Like, I'm not demeaning like Spider-Man. I haven't even played it. I'm not demeaning Demon Souls, you know, like, but Mass Effect like was setting the standards for like an action RPG when it came out. Like, I would imagine that trying to upscale this, all 3 of them, might not be worth the time or the money. Like, it's hard.
I'm wondering, will Mass Effect 3 come with the original ending or the DLC ending?
Probably both.
Because remember both, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder if you'll be able to pick that from the beginning of like, hey, you want our ending or do you want our fan service ending? And then you can, go from there. Because I wonder how that would work.
But they also announced that there's another Mass Effect in development.
which isn't too surprising, but I just keep thinking of BioWare just,
So now, okay, yeah, but that's my first thought. They're doing something with Anthem 2.0. They're doing
yeah.
Dragon Age, right?
Yeah, Dragon Age is confirmed and
Yeah.
it sounds like it's like well in development.
And then now you're sitting there, Mass Effect. So Mass Effect and Dragon Age alone are from a BioWare. The standard that BioWare has set for themselves and what they produced are two different things lately. And now you have, we've heard Dragon Age is in development hell. And now you're throwing a Mass Effect game in there on top of whatever they are or aren't doing with Anthem. That's still a live service game that they need to, that they're somewhat maintaining.
And I'm wondering if the remastered for Mass Effect was in-house.
It can't be. There's no way.
If it is, I would just be like, what are you doing, EA, distracting BioWare from
there's
Dragon Age?
There's no way, man. Like there's no way. The thing actually that comes to mind right away for me though is like this just happened today, and like Kale's gonna, Willie's gonna get all over me, my buddy. EA, I can't even think of what it's called. The EA service,
Play.
EA Access, EA Play, is on Game Pass now.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that this is gonna be on Game Pass?
The 72-hour trial, maybe. I don't know how that works. I still am interested to see how EA Play works with Game Pass Ultimate, because EA that's a whole different tiered service in terms of like, here's your back catalog, here is your trials, and here are your perks.
Yeah.
But Game Pass has turned into like a whole weird thing where they just announced there's 30 days
Disney
of PS Plus.
Of Disney Plus for new
Disney
subscribers, and it's like, so I mean, they're doing some interesting. I think a lot of it is just to get you to try it. Like, oh well, I get, it's $1, and I get Disney Plus for a month, and like, oh wow, look at all this stuff.
Yeah.
But EA Access being on there, because I was looking at it today, there's like another 30 games that just got added to Game Pass. Yeah, granted, like some of those 30 games are Madden 17, Battlefield Hardline, but still.
Yeah.
They're there, and it's just interesting just to see how that any of those things are going to work. So
yeah. All right, last story. This one is coming out of Bloomberg. I thought it would just be fun, and we haven't talked about acquisitions in like 2 weeks. Apparently Microsoft is getting aggressive in Japan, and it looks like they're going to make a play for that market because they see maybe this is finally the generation that they can get into that market, even though Japan is pretty much outright rejected like Microsoft and the Xbox console. So the reason Microsoft is interested in Japan is they are 10% of the gaming market, which puts them third behind the US and whatever the UK exactly encompasses. And Sony basically moved their global headquarters to California in 2016. So Microsoft kind of sees this as an opportunity to crack into the Japanese market that they've kind of been a laughing stock in since the original Xbox. And this sounds like they're looking at partnerships, like continued partnerships that they've been doing, but also they are looking to acquire Japanese studios. So I believe Grasshopper, who they got through Bethesda, is a Japanese studio. So they have one Japanese studio, but they are looking to spend money and probably pick up some developers or publishers, which I would assume, since Sony's also looking to expand, there would be a bidding war for whatever company Microsoft starts kicking the tires for.
Immediately, we talked about it before, but like Square kind of comes in, like Square's kind of somewhat based out of Japan, I believe, or there's a division of Square that's out of Japan. And then Capcom and Sega, right? Capcom as well?
Yeah, Capcom. Sega's interesting, though, because Sega just sold off its arcade business and a couple other of its side businesses. So it sounds like They
could be making themselves more appealing for purchase by getting rid of assets that people don't want.
Yeah, like especially like they sold off their arcade businesses. COVID is probably destroying those arcade businesses, so they're shedding right now to make them more appealing to be purchased. Or they might need money enough that like they would be willing to like sell to Microsoft, especially I'm sure some companies, after they sell what Microsoft spent on Bethesda, are also like, well, we can get a chunk of that type of Bethesda money. We'd be set. But yeah, like Capcom, which has had a really good partnership with Sony. I mean, pretty much every Japanese company has had a good partnership with Sony. But yeah, Capcom probably wouldn't be too bad. Bandai Namco works a lot with Nintendo. So I don't think Bandai would be Because I still think Nintendo's a dark horse in all these acquisitions that are happening. We know Nintendo has a really good war chest. Like they've
Yeah, but I feel like Nintendo would rather just pay you to make a game that they want you to make versus owning you.
But Nintendo hasn't made a Smash Brothers game in a long time, so like
exactly, they just pay somebody.
Yeah.
Here's all of our money. Shut up and do what we tell you to do.
Yeah, but like if a Microsoft is like, hey, we want to buy Bandai, Nintendo might be like, those are our Smash people.
Mm-hmm.
No, or would Nintendo do in that situation where they see like the companies that they like outsource to, Tecmo Koei is another one of those companies. Like, will Nintendo hop in if they start seeing Microsoft like talking to people? Like I don't think Square would ever be available to purchase because I feel like Square would just value themselves way too high. Though apparently they took a bath in Avengers.
$48 million bath.
Yeah, because they only sold 3 million copies, and again, that's a failure for Square Enix. I love Square. That 3 million number just always pops up. Like either the game only sells 3 million copies, or they think it's going to sell 3 million copies, and then it doesn't, and everything's on fire. So Square could be hurting financially, but I feel like they would value themselves way too high. But there's a lot of small studios that a Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo would probably want to fight over.
Mm-hmm.
Like I put up a list of just studios like SNK, small developer now or publisher developer, Spike Churnsoft, publisher developer, really small. Those would be, they make niche games, but those are the type of games that you probably want under your belt if you're going to make a play for Japan. So I don't know, Dave. Do you see them actually buying a Japanese studio to compete in Japan?
No,
it seems kind of crazy.
But I didn't see them buying Bethesda either. So
yeah, that's true.
It's like,
yeah, because it just seems like they want to fight, in Japan for that 10% market share of the video game industry, which seems like a really low number. But according to Bloomberg, the U.S. only accounts for 35%, and it's number one. So 10% is a lot for them to be number three. So there's definitely a lot of money to be made. I just don't know how exactly Microsoft would go about doing that other than to buy exclusivity, and then what Sony's reaction would be. Because we already know Sony mentioned in a business report before Bethesda was purchased, we're saying that they are pursuing, acquisitions.
I think that it's people are like, well, Sony's like grown their studios, and like, I mean, I've still been on the position that they bought all these studios. They just bought them over time, and they bought them early in the early or the late 90s, early 2000s. And then those studios were able to be molded and turned into what we have now. Naughty Dog grew and evolved with Sony's bankrolling them, which is fine. And I hope that like Bethesda and Ninja Theory and some of these other studios can develop into that. I think like Ninja Theory could be a Naughty Dog-esque style studio with what they try to do in games and the stories they try to tell. I really am curious. And Hellblade 1 is on my list. And, people have been saying it's like a must play, and I want to get it played so I understand it. But I think Hellblade 2 has with what they learned from Hellblade 1, what they know worked and what didn't work, and now with Microsoft's money, like you could have a potential Game of the Year contender here, because it almost won Game of the Year when it was just them.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like Ninja Theory, I felt like they've always been on the cusp of like a Naughty Dog, but they just never have had the budget and time to do what like a Naughty Dog does or what an Insomniac does. So I'm eagerly awaiting what Hellblade 2 is with the Microsoft budget and time. Especially it seems like Microsoft's willing to take time. I mean, shit, they just went through their third Halo Infinite creative director. Yeah. So they're willing to take time and spend money. So if they can get a studio that's able to bring something to the finish line.
Yeah, which isn't uncommon. I mean, people are like pointing at Halo going through 3 developers. Like Uncharted 4 went through development hell too. Like bad. So
yeah,
with Amy Hennig leaving, like maybe after she finished writing it or didn't finish writing it. We've heard about Last of Us going through some of the craziness that it went through. Not the second one as much as the first one, but if you really like look into the development of those studios, like what 343 is going through is no different than what major huge studios go through anyways. So
yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what this ends up bringing. I mean, technically, Microsoft doesn't own Bethesda just yet. It takes a long time to finish that up. So I don't think they're going to be doing another big acquisition until they can like dry the ink on Bethesda acquisition.
I don't think this Bethesda deal will be done until the end of the fiscal year for them either.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take a long time. I mean, it could honestly, it could take like more than a year for some of these gigantic acquisitions. You're talking about like not only just the video games, because most of the time we only think about like the video game IPs, but there's like 3,000 people with jobs that they need to figure out like how they're going to employ them and all the work that goes into that, and then clearing whatever you have to do with the government, to make sure everything's done legally. So I don't see Microsoft buying another thing until the Bethesda deal's done. So maybe that will give Sony and Nintendo time. Because again, I swear to God, in a year from now, we're going to find out Nintendo purchased someone big, and people are going to be surprised, and I'm going to be like, no, they had the money.
I don't doubt they had the money, but they're also cheap as hell, which is why they have the money. So, but who knows what they're going to do when their back's put up against the wall, like you said, of somebody trying to buy their Smash developer to do something else. So like, wait a minute, like.
Yeah, that's when they just bust out, especially with something as big as like Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had for news. Again, it's been like kind of quiet. We're just learning details about the new consoles, and we're probably going to learn a shit ton more once we get it in our hands.
So playing and watching, I've been taking it a little easy this week. Again, I got just like you, and probably most of a good chunk of our listeners. The election was like must see TV for like 90 minutes each night. Just kind of seeing how that stuff is going.
Just 90?
Yeah, I try to. I can't. There's only so much I can take when numbers are cut and dry as they are.
Oh man, so I hate the Electoral College, not to get back into politics, but I am fascinated by numbers and just seeing how things worked. So like I was totally there, just being like, anytime John Keane was on doing the magic wall board thing, being like, okay, good, my boy John Keane is going to explain to me what this county is.
Yeah,
I think I know some counties now.
Yeah, but the biggest takeaway I took from that, I put this on Facebook, is I swear that I think Owen drew these counties blindfolded.
Oh yeah. Some of them make no sense. You'll just see a county like in between one other county, and you're just like, how did that happen?
I mean, I guess that's just from me living in Michigan, like almost my entire life. But Michigan is like a grid, for the most part.
But then you see other counties, and it's like a lie detector test.
Like Fulton County, where like Atlanta is. I'm like, what is that? A rattler? So we're watching that, and still watching again, just because it was really easy, like watching New Girl. I'm sorry, going through that a little bit more. Then I tripped to Man with a Plan. Again, another 20-minute show. It's got Matt LeBlanc in it from Friends. So look at that. I got a name right, I think. Joey from Friends, I think, is Matt LeBlanc. So
I never watched Friends.
Yeah, so that's good. Like that's a show, like, again, it's like one of those 20-minute bite-sized ones that you can watch like 2 or 3 things in an hour time frame. Then just randomly watched other crap, and I didn't really play much. I've kind of been laying low. Played a little bit more Watch Dogs. I haven't had a chance to really delve into it. My days off at work now are Saturdays, or Mondays and Saturdays. So I'm actually having a really hard time getting used to that. So it's like I get, work off, like on a Friday through a Tuesday morning. So it's kind of messed with me a little bit. I'm just trying to readapt to it. I don't get that random like Wednesday or Thursday off that I'm used to. So that's been part of the problem. Ubisoft did send us Assassin's Creed Valhalla over the weekend. And so I did get a little bit of time with that actually today. Streamed that for a little bit, just trying to go through the tutorial and the base stuff. It's been a long time since I played an Assassin's Creed game. This one gives me very much, and I don't really know however else to explain it, but God of War Horizon feels a lot.
Yeah, so I'm getting like Elder Scrolls Skyrim feels for it. But yeah, I can see like Horizon. Some of the side characters just look like Aloy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Norse mythology. So I can totally see the God of War elements, because I'm doing it. You ever see that meme where like Leonardo DiCaprio is drinking and pointing?
Yeah.
I feel like every time they mention like a Norse god, I'm just like pointing at the screen, like, I know that guy. I killed him in God of War.
It's I can already tell like early on though, like this is gonna be one of those things that I can't already tell, but I already feel early on like this is gonna be one of those games where you're going from point A to point B and it's like shiny thing on the left, shiny thing on the right, and I'm like, I want to go and see this story. Like,
um, so I played a little bit more than you, and I've been like watching the other Assassin's Creed games because Sarah's been playing Odyssey and Origins. It's a little bit more restricted, it feel like, than compared to Odyssey and Origins, where Odyssey and Origins was just like, here's a shit ton of stuff on the map and you're constantly distracted. There's definitely that in this game in early going, but it doesn't seem to be as distracting.
mm-hmm.
It seems like they pulled some of that back just a little bit.
Well, I had just gotten to like the home base. And like when I was there, that like the thing that I hate, and I guess I almost wish that the game would kind of just do it step by step sometimes, and I know that might sound annoying to other people, but when I get on there and it's like, okay, you're here, welcome to here, like this is your base, this is blah 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 blah, and then it's like there's 13 icons that are green, and I'm like, whoa. Like versus like here's the weapons guy, here's the armor guy, like it's more kind of like connecting the dots, and then those are all there, so I know they're there, versus like, oh, who is this person? Oh, this is a 2-page tutorial. Oh, who is this person? Oh, this is this.
Well,
you know?
early on, like in the thing you're talking about, you're supposed to talk to the king, and you go to him too early, and you're like, you might want to wait a little bit, and it's just like, oh, I really have to go to all the arrows. Like I already went to the blacksmith and the tattoo guy. Do I need to go to the other guys? Yeah. But I'm loving it so far. So
it looks amazing. The traversal on the sea with the boats. And you know, like that's cool. Like all the snow, it's like and the footprints. I can't wait to play this on PS5.
That's the only thing that like kind of held me back a little bit.
It's a little janky. I mean, I saw like we got the email and it's like, oh, day 1 patch, and I'm like, okay. And then you know, and then like I'm like even today like on the stream like voice acting falls behind. And then it tries to catch up really quick. So it's like... Yeah,
I've had odd clipping between, like, the transition from gameplay to cutscene where, like, just a wall will appear out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, what? And then the usual frame rate issues, which after seeing all the backwards compatibility stuff on the PS5, I'm just like, oh my god, I can't wait not to really talk about frame rate
we're not gonna, like, as we're not gonna have our review discussion on this, obviously, 1, until we both get more time into it, and 2, until we both get to play it on PS5.
But I do like early on, like the writing and the characters are really well.
There's funny moments in there, like little side comments and stuff. I actually thought they were done with the Abacus stuff, or the
Abstergo stuff, the Animus.
Animus. I'm sorry, the present time.
No,
stuff,
no. So. No, it's still Layla, I believe is her name from Origins. So it's still her doing all the future stuff. Which is
I
cool.
let it pick my character, and it picked the female character for me, which doesn't matter to me either way. But
yeah, I've actually played both. Like, so Sarah's playing as the female character, and I'm playing the male character, just to see if there's a difference. Because in Odyssey there was a slight difference because you, whichever gender you picked, it would make the other gender a character in the game because you play either a brother, you know, you chose between playing as the brother or sister in Odyssey.
Yeah.
So that changes the story just a little bit based on who you pick. This one, they went more of like a non-binary route where the writing is neutral enough that it doesn't matter if you pick the male or female character, at least in the early going. It might change later on, but in the first like 6 to 8 hours, the writing is pretty much identical because I'm basically seeing all the cutscenes twice.
Yeah.
You know, watching her play and then when I play. So I kind of like that approach just because I feel like I'm not missing anything because I picked
it makes you wonder. You're like, wait, no. It's like
so I appreciate that. And the voice acting is good either one. Like there's because that was another thing about Odyssey. It felt like Cassandra got more time and effort put into than it did for Alexios. So this one, the voice acting is both good to where I'm not like, oh, did I make the wrong choice? But you can also switch it at any time, which shows you more that I believe you can switch anytime because it says like when you're picking, like you can change this later. So I'm assuming I can change that later, which then emphasizes that it doesn't matter who you pick because it's not going to affect the story or the writing at all, which I kind of appreciate. The gameplay, it's an Assassin's Creed game. Like it's still they've just gradually changed it. The only thing I can comment on early going is I'm paying way too much attention to my stamina than I'm used to. which is a little frustrating, but I'm hoping I can like upgrade myself out of having to worry about stamina too much.
Yeah, I mean, there's the armor and the upgrades and the weapons and the upgrades and the material collecting, which is like I get it, like in terms of what they're trying to accomplish, but I mean, at the same time, it just feels like that just kind of feels like even more filler versus just like kind of giving you the weapons and letting you compete as you go. And like, I don't want to run into a situation where I feel like I'm not powered enough correctly, but that you do get they do it well. Like I've seen already, you get significant chunks of XP for completing quests. So
Yeah. You definitely do. So you don't feel too underpowered. I'm still interested to see. We'll probably talk about this more during the actual review of just how they fit the Assassin's lore into this, because like early on they kind of just, hey, there's assassins. Like they don't really like.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like right there, like when they get off the boat with the brother.
Yeah, they
like
kind of just
kind
get
of like
introduced.
right where I'm at. So
yeah, like it was just a little weird of just like, oh wait, it's that easy to get the Assassin's Blade. Like I don't know, it's just one of those things where, like, I know it sounds like I'm talking spoilers, but I'm not. This is in the first like 2 hours of the game, and I haven't fully figured out exactly their purpose in this game, or how this like Viking lore fits in with the Assassin's universe that
like,
we know.
And I know that like Ubisoft has ran into some delays and stuff like that, but like this being so close to Watch Dogs is just crazy.
I think it's going to hurt Watch Dogs because I feel like Watch Dogs already.
Assassin's Creed carries way more clout on the shelf than Watch Dogs does. And I feel like Watch Dogs is like on the surface, like Watch Dogs franchise for me is better than Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite of you.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Watch Dogs has never been able to fulfill its potential. So Assassin's Creed has at least been able to fulfill its potential. It had its downtime, but since Origins, it's been like the best thing
Origins terrifies me when people are like, oh yeah, I got 100 hours in Origins. I'm like, yeah, I'm not touching that.
Well, that was the problem. Is like Origins was like a 100-hour game, and then Odyssey was like a 150-hour game.
Yeah.
And then Valhalla apparently pulls it back, but I don't know if it means they pull it back to Origins 100 hours or if they pull it back even further to like a reasonable amount of time played. But yeah. So yeah, I played that. Did you play anything else before I talk about like the last two things I played?
No, I didn't really get a chance. I mean, like I said, I was kind of more just chilling out, kind of getting some stuff done. There was just a lot of stuff going on this week. So
yeah. The only other thing I played Warzone. First time I played it in like a season or two. I played with Chris Penwell just because he was doing an extra live stream, so I was like, I hopped in for like an hour. Shit, that game has changed, or I've just gotten terrible at it because I've been playing like a first-person shooter, like at Call of Duty's like speed. So I basically, I would never die first. I would always die last, and I would revive people. But that was just because I was playing like a coward, just because the game's changed so much since I played. Because I constantly had to ask them of like, okay, what are the hot zones? Because the hot zones, like where everyone likes to drop, are completely different than 2 seasons ago. So I was kind of fascinated to see how much that evolves, and I know they're going to transition into the Cold War somehow, some way. So now I'm probably going to download Warzone on a PS5 and eat up space.
Goes up 30 your storage.
Yeah, so I want to see how that transitions to Cold War, even though I'm not really interested in the Cold War, but I like trying to see how this live service Call of Duty game is going to be able to change every time a new Call of Duty comes out, and how long they plan to do that.
Yeah.
Like, will the next Call of Duty have Warzone attached to it, or like
they teased Cold War for months, like 2 or 3 months in Warzone. So.
But like, how much can they transition Warzone before they're like, all right, Warzone 2 or like Warzone something edition, or will Warzone just stay like this dynamic thing?
They'll just add more maps or add more space.
Yeah, I just wonder if that then also limits what they can do with the Call of Duty franchise if they always have to obey like Warzone that's connected to it. Like, are we going to get like future super Call of Duty again?
Yeah, I guess, are we going to have a next gen only Warzone soon?
Yeah, exactly. And will that hold Warzone back, being a cross-platform?
Yeah, I'm just more curious, like, what the future of Modern Warfare is.
Yeah, it's a moneymaker, and Call of Duty doesn't really put their games on sale, so they'll probably ride Modern Warfare for like. But
there's still,
year.
I mean, seasonal content too. Like, they can't just make 4 seasons and stop. I mean, they can, but it doesn't really make sense to. So.
Because you would assume, like, Raven usually does the DLC. You'd think Raven would then be moved out to make the DLC for the other one, or whoever their auxiliary studio is would get transitioned to the next Call of Duty game. How they handle that. And then the only other game that is consuming every waking moment of my life is Hades. I'm still playing that on the Switch. I think this is going to be like top 3 game of the year for me. Like right now, The Last of Us Part 2 is number 1, but Hades is at like number 2, number 3 with Tony Hawk, Pro Skater, constantly being shuffled between it. I'm just in love with this game. Like I'm ashamed that it took me so long to play it because it's been available on PC in early access for like a year or two. But when it came out in the Switch and had its full release in September, I missed the first month and wasn't until a couple weeks ago I got into it. I love a roguelike that I'm not annoyed every time I die, because every time I die, I get a little bit more story, and I'm also able to level up my character to where I feel like I'm making progress, even though I keep dying on the last boss and have to start over again. Though I was a little annoyed, I told my friend, hey, my friends are the type of people that, like, if I tell them play a game, they will just buy the game right away because we know each other enough. Like, we have blind faith when it comes to video games. So I told him, like, hey, you got to play this game, Hades. And then within like his 3rd try, he's like, I made it to the 4th boss, and I'm just like, I'm on try 16th and I haven't made it to the 4th boss, and you just had this game for 2 hours and you're able to get it. But just been going back and forth with my friend as we like compare our loadouts, or the favors you get from the gods, or they're all random drops, but just comparing each run that we have, just like, okay, I got this works really well with this weapon, try and spec your character this way. So it's been fun just going back and forth with my friend Josh about like specking our characters for Hades. So just been like, as soon as we're done recording, I'm probably going to sit on the couch while Sarah plays Valhalla and I'm going to play Hades. Cause that's just been my obsession. That's it for playing, watching. It's just been Election, Digital Foundry videos, and Angel free watch. I haven't been able to like focus on anything else. I've just been up to like 1 a.m. watching fucking counties I've never heard of, numbers go up and down, and then watching anytime someone drops like a PlayStation 5 or Xbox review, just to see like what they thought, and even not even exactly what they thought, just so I can look at the menu. Like I've watched so many UI videos where I don't have the volume on. I'm just looking at like how the UI works and functions, and I'm just like, okay. And then I'm killing my bandwidth, or by my internet data cap, by downloading PS4 games to an external SSD. Has been consuming my time because I'm excited for new consoles. I know you're not really that excited for it.
I mean, when it's here, like, and I'm messing with it, like, I'll be fine with it. Like, I'm ready for I guess at the point, like, as much as we've been talking about, I'm kind of like ready for them to be out. And it just has to do with like, there's just been a lot of stuff going on right before all that happened. Like, this is the first, I've changed stores all the time. This is the first time that like this, it's impacting me physically and mentally, where I'm like, okay, like I'm exhausted when I get home. So yeah, and right now I have like a slight fever, and I'm just like, okay, I might get a day off from work so I can spend time with this PS5. So yeah, I'm just excited. Just to, like, I've been trying to figure out like, okay, so I'm gonna download Spider-Man right away, and Bug Snacks, and then play Spider-Man and Bug Snacks day 1. Day 2, I'm gonna test out some PS4 games and then fuck up my backlog by starting too many games to see if they look better. I mean, I'm excited. Like, I get Destiny Beyond Light tomorrow, so I mean, we're doing this live on Monday, obviously, so on the 9th. So like, well, I'll be playing Destiny, and then I'll get the PS5, and then I got to look and see like what PS5 games I'm going to be able to get. But there's, like you said, there's a ton of that PS Plus collection that I can play. And I'm sure like when I start doing it, I'll be happy. I've just kind of been just in this funk, and I don't know if it's just everything that's going on with COVID and everything in the world. Like, my state is not in good shape.
No, dude, we've hit 10,000 cases like multiple days in a row. Like, it's real bad.
And then it's just like, just seeing the toxicity on the internet about PlayStation and Xbox. Like, just buy whatever console you want, play your games, play whatever makes you happy, and like just have fun. Like I'm just ready. I'm ready to shoot some stuff. Shoot aliens in the head. That's what I'm most looking forward to with Destiny with my buddies. And playing and the ability to play it on either console and on the PC is great. I'm ready to really dive into Spider-Man, especially since the reviews for Miles Morales came out. I don't want to play Miles until I play the first one, because I don't think it's it'll probably be pointless. So I'm just ready to sit down and play a game and just lose myself for like multiple hours. And whether people like it or don't like it or hate it or don't hate it, I can do that in Destiny. I can do that in Destiny all day long, and because of the play, just the way that the game plays for me, and the social aspect that I have of it, I can be playing with 3 or 4 of my buddies, or I can be playing by myself, and the time just melts, and I can forget about the world for a couple hours. So,
yep, that's definitely Hades for me. Like yesterday, I tell Sarah like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to bed, but I'm gonna play Hades for like a half hour," and then like 2-3 hours later, I'm just like, "Oh shit, I need to go to bed."
I need another Switch game like that too. And like I've been looking at like Link's Awakening, but like just from a financial standpoint right now of like almost $1,000 into gaming.
I know. I almost bought the No More Heroes like remasters that came out on Switch, and I was like, okay, that's $40, but I'm also looking at like Avengers is down to $30 at some places, and I'm just like, shit. I need to not spend money. I bought a DualShock controller or a DualSense controller just so I can hold it in my hand.
Well, the best thing right now for me with PS5 digital is I'm like, oh, look at GameStop's ad. Like, I can't buy any of those. Look at Target's ad. I can't buy any of those because I can't buy a disc. So.
Dude, I'm wondering how they're going to handle, because like PSN usually does like a Black Friday sale as well. I'm wondering what those PS5
they're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive, because before it was like they could, you almost could kind of pay the what I guess what I would call like a convenience markup. Oh, it's on sale for $19.99 at GameStop, but it's $29.99 on PSN. Like, oh, I don't have to go to the store. And that was working for a little while, almost kind of like the gas station convenience store tax. Like, oh, you're already here getting gas, you're going to pay an extra 50 cents for your bag of chips because it's right there. I think that they have to, almost the opposite has to happen. Like if they see a retailer like Amazon put a disc-based copy of a game on sale for $30-$40, like they need to go $5 less.
But also right now they can easily say like, wait, you're going to go outside in your state to go pick up a game? Like, they definitely have the advantage like there. I'm just wondering though, because like, I can't remember how PSN sales happened during the PS4 launch in terms of like how aggressive they were.
Yeah, I remember
will I be able
Flash.
To pick up...
Like that's the thing too, is like we haven't seen a Flash sale from Sony in months.
Yeah, they just have big sales that last multiple weeks now.
Yeah,
but
like,
they need to the Flash sale.
They need to counter some of these Black Friday ads. They need to counter them now.
Yeah, well, I saw GameStop had like Avengers for like $27.
I know, but so why isn't it $30 on PSN right now then? They know.
I don't know. Like
that's or Xbox or Steam. Like I'm not picking on Sony. Like you guys, like these ads are out. Like they're like, and the Best Buy's running their stuff early, and Amazon's talking about some of their stuff early. Target's showing their stuff early. Like, from a business standpoint, it just drives me insane.
Especially they can undercut their competition right now. Being like, Avengers is on sale now.
Yeah, I even
not
like
in 2 weeks. Now,
saying $29.99 for a physical copy or $33.99 for a disc copy in the COVID era.
Yeah,
for a digital copy. I'm sorry. Like I would like I don't have to go to the store. I don't have to talk to somebody. I don't got to put a mask on if I like I'm just You need to put a mask on if you go outside, but you don't have to put a mask on if you buy it digitally.
yeah, unless you want to. No judging. I'm hoping we get some aggressive sales because there's still some PS4 games that I want to play, add my backlog, and then play them on PS5 so I can get that extra frame rate or the consistent frame rate.
Half the stuff on the PS Plus collection I haven't played yet. There's a ton of stuff on Game Pass I haven't played yet. Like
that's why I almost feel like I almost want to buy my Xbox now instead of waiting until December like I told myself I would, just so I can get the Game Pass games, because all of the PS Plus games...
That's all my Series S is going to be. Like that's why I don't care that it's digital. If I could like Velcro that thing underneath my entertainment center and just never worry about it anymore, just because like I'm not going to put a disc in it or anything. I don't care what it looks like. I just want to be able to like take my controller and pick it up off my my end table in my living room and lay down on the couch and play a game. Like, and that's what Game Pass and Series S is going to be for me,
Well,
and that's why I'm okay spending $300 on it.
Yeah, and for me, like when the PlayStation Plus collection is such a bummer because me, a like very loyal PlayStation fan, I have played every single one of those games, so there's like nothing for me.
I played Days Gone, but I didn't get far enough in it.
Yeah,
so I'll probably just start over. There's some other things in there, and when Ghost of Tsushima is on a good enough sale in like January or something like that, or
it's gonna be $40 most places, but I don't know if you want $40 right now.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope that Destiny has enough content to hold some attention. Like, I'm off on Saturdays now, so I can actually make a legitimate chance at a day one raid. With I just need to get 5 other people that want to do it for like 6 or 7 hours. But and that are willing to level themselves. I mean, but I hope it's good because I mean, like that. I just need. I need some stuff. Like, I need to get my teeth into Watch Dogs. I know when I get my teeth into Watch Dogs more, it'll be fine. I need to get a little farther in Assassin's Creed. I just need to motivate myself to play a game. And so,
yeah, I like when they announced like Days Gone at 60 frames per second. I was just like, or like in the HDR, or not HDR, 4K resolution, and I'm just like, shit. You know what? I didn't finish the side quests in Days Gone, so I'm looking at that, and I'm just like, there's so many games that I want to play, but I own all those games that are in an instant game collection. So like, the Days Gone from that collection, I already own that Days Gone. It's not a special version of it. It's just the PS4 version of the game. So I need to like dive into some of my backlog, but like, that's why I held Ghost for so long. Is like, Ghost will be the game. The first time I play Ghost will be on a PS5, and I feel like that will be a significantly better experience. Even though that game was gorgeous and ran pretty well on the PS4, but just to get that in 60 frames per second is going to be huge. Especially because I've been noticing frame rate even more so the last year or so of this console, because this console generation has been struggling to like maintain like a level of quality. So like, I've never been a frame rate person. I've always just been, I think me and you have said this a bunch of times, we've always just been consistency over like the high numbers.
Yeah.
But this generation has gone on just a little bit too long enough where this hardware just hasn't been able to keep up enough to where I'm like,
I mean, just looking at the games collection for me, like Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Last Guardian, Until Dawn. Like those are like, that's a handful of games there that those are the ones that jump out to me right away of what I want to play. Crash Bandicoot, Insane Trilogy. So those jump out to me right away, on top of Game Pass of getting all the stuff that they're getting in Ori and the Blind Forest, and some other, like there's definitely plenty of stuff for me to play. But then I also want, like, their Destiny's there. I want Spider-Man. I need but we'll see. It's an interesting time. I just gotta, kind of get myself motivated again, get my bearings back. I feel like I've just been a little off kilter lately. So.
Yeah, and I feel like I'll have more time, or I'll be able to focus more on games over the next couple of weeks.
Maybe my governor will shut the state down for like 10 days.
Oh man, I'm hoping mine does too. Like, just give me like, oh man, I miss furlough. Like, I miss it so much. I wasted my furlough. Looking back, I'm just
I don't want our state shut down for 10 days.
I would embrace, like, give me a weekend. Give me a weekend.
Jump into our question stuff. You can send us questions on Facebook or using hashtag AskDigitalDays. Josh sends it in. Since there aren't many new games coming that will be exclusive to the new consoles this year, and well into 2021, would you encourage most people to hold off buying one until later? Sackboy, Halo, Horizon 2, Assassin's Creed, Spider-Man, etc., all coming to last gen. That's kind of what we've just been talking about. And I think at the standpoint, like, I think with COVID, and I hate to like connect it to this, but with COVID not calming down, I think finding a console in February, March, April, May might still be a challenge. So I think if you can find them and you can afford it now, just get it now and get it over with. I know that sounds kind of weird, but just get your hands on it. Like, if you're fortunate enough to have a pre-order ready, like just and you can financially afford it, like, just get it done. Just because, like, this stuff is going to get price gouged so bad.
Yeah, I feel like you don't need these current consoles. If you can afford it, you might as well get it. because I don't see these dropping in price anytime soon because they're already lower than we were all expecting them to be. But like, if this is definitely like, if you were to save up for the PS5 or Xbox Series X, I wouldn't say it's worth it, like, at all. Like, if you have to like budget for it in a certain way, I'm just like, okay, if I cut back on this, and this, I'll be able to buy it next week. Then you don't need to, like, it's not worth like budgeting your life around these new consoles in their current state. Right. Not that I think it's ever worth budgeting your life around video game consoles, but you know what I mean, right, Dave? Like, in terms of like, if you're having to make some sort of financial sacrifice to get it,
as long as I don't eat lunch for a month, like, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah. I like right now, like, I don't feel like there's anything worth it. And like,
I sold a couple things just to kind of get rid of them, and like, I sold my Xbox that I had already bought, and I sold like some stuff that I wasn't using. Just not that I needed to do that, but it just softened the blow.
Yeah. I wish I could do that, but I hate doing online stuff just because I have a Vita, I have a Peace Walker PSP that are just sitting like somewhere on the shelf back there.
Community member bought my Vita, so help out the cause. So
yeah, I don't feel like these consoles are worth it right now, and I'm really hoping Horizon is like Last Guardian moment where it just doesn't come out on the console it was previously announced for, and it gets pushed. Just because I just don't want... Horizon has a chance to be the most beautiful game on the PS5, but if it's going to have to be playable on the PS4, then I feel like it will not like hit its full potential.
Well, the fact of the matter that Insomniac had to come out and say, they actually said it, which is great that they said it, but that Ratchet and Clank is a PS5 only game shows how confusing their marketing is right now. Like,
like, that's the only one that they've marked as like this is exclusive.
Like, do we expect Horizon 2 and God of War to come out in the second half of 2021 around within like a month of each other? I don't.
No, God no. Especially we're still going to be in COVID world.
Yeah, so God of War is going to get pushed to 2022,
holiday 21.
Yeah, what does that mean? That Horizon comes out in June or July?
It did last time, right? No. It was supposed to come out in June, and then it got pushed to October.
So
Horizon.
But you're talking about a marquee title coming out almost 10 months or 12 months after your next gen console launches. Like,
yeah, because like Spider-Man came out in September, and then God of War came out in November of that year, I believe, is how that worked out. So I can see them doing that maybe with Horizon and God of War, but I don't feel like Horizon, God of War, Gran Turismo, Ratchet and Clank are all going to come out in the same year.
I think it needs to, and it's crazy,
one of those slips.
As crazy as it sounds, Ratchet, God of War, and Horizon in 2021. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either. But if it does happen, I feel like Ratchet and God of War need to come out before Horizon, because I would almost feel that those would be shorter experiences than Horizon.
Based on a turnaround time, yeah, in terms of like from the last game and how many games
but just like God of War was a little bit more open world, but it had linear aspects to it, versus Horizon was kind of like just go almost anywhere.
Yeah. Unless Horizon's a shorter experience, which would be a bummer if they went with the shorter Horizon experience.
But yeah, I mean, if you're in a situation where I think it's okay to wait, but I mean, at the same time, like, if you can get it, get it. Like, just because it's you'll have it, and your experience is like, if you get the disc PS5 and you have Watch Dogs or Ghost of Tsushima or Last of Us, like, and you haven't finished them, they're just gonna be better, and that's good. Like, that's a good thing. If they weren't gonna be better, or they weren't gonna work, like, I would say, like, it's a different conversation. Like, I feel like it's a vastly different conversation, even with the Xbox, but not as different. But I mean, what I was kind of like, PS3 games didn't work on PS4. PS4 games didn't work on PS3. That generational jump was significant enough to warrant it. This one, it's more of a generational gap, not a jump.
Yeah, this almost feels like not quite PlayStation 4 Pro
Plus,
Ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's definitely there. Definitely, like, when it comes to like purchasing next gen consoles, if you happen to go online and you see they're available to order, grab one. But is it a call Target, GameStop, and Best Buy every week to see if they have stock? No, not at all.
If you're out shopping and you go to your grocery store and there's a GameStop in the same complex and you walk over there, hey, you got a PS5? Yeah, and you can do it. Do it. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
But is it a call them? No, it's not a call to see if what their stock is.
all right. Randy using hashtag AskDigitalDays. Was there ever a game that everyone loved, even your friends loved it, and it had great reviews, but you didn't like it and regretted the purchase? For me, that would be Monster Hunter. I know it's very well loved, and I've tried it several times, but I regret spending $60 on that. The first one that jumps out to me when he asked this question, I was thinking about it, Borderlands.
Okay.
Particularly Borderlands 3. A bunch of people were like, well, if you like the looting aspect of Destiny, you'll really like this, and like it's just the over the top story, and then it didn't get his hooks into me.
The looting there isn't rewarding enough because it's just like you just get loot everywhere. You don't really like
you're drowning in it.
work for it.
So
Yeah.
it didn't hook me enough or grab me, and I tried the other Borderlands, like the Handsome Collection. I think I either bought it for like $5 or was part of Plus. Like I've definitely tried my hands in the Borderlands series, and it's one of those things that it's fun to play. I had fun playing when I was playing it with like Johnny or somebody like that. But it's just never grabbed me like that.
For me, it's been like a shadow since like my high school days. Smash Brothers, like Jesus Christ, like my friends love Smash Brothers. Like anytime a character comes out, they talk about Smash Brothers. There have been several days that they are just playing Smash Brothers. Like I remember in high school, like going over to their house and then being like, "What are we doing?" Like playing Smash Brothers all day. Like I bought the latest Smash Brothers on Switch because my friends were all getting it, and I'm just like, yeah, this still doesn't do anything for me. Like the way those games play just have never done anything for me. So Smash Brothers is probably like my ultimate one, and then my most recent one is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Gorgeous game, looks really good. I can see why people like it, but I had like the worst experience with it because I was just like, I remember enough of the original Final Fantasy VII game that when I was playing this one, I'm just like, there's so much filler. They're dragging this thing out so long.
If that's gonna work better on PS5.
Yeah, but like the actual gameplay,
No, I know. I have it
stuff
too.
that they had, yeah. Like I just that first like boss battle with like the motorcycle chase was like the most mind-numbing long experience. I just felt like, oh no, this game, people keep telling me finish it, it's beautiful, it's amazing, but then I was just like, no, I how they were able to drag that game out, just I couldn't deal with that. Like I'm gonna give it another go. I downloaded it to my external SSD so I could play it on PS5
Right.
to see if I can get a better experience with it, but it's on the end of my list of games that I want to finish before the end of the year.
All right. Last question comes from Matt in the Facebook group. I can't see myself ever not playing games. As my generation continues to game into the future, how do you think the industry will change? Old age gamers have already requested dedicated servers for PvP. We've still got the Skyrim grandma streaming. I think
The best.
How might game developers adapt to the ever-increasing age demographic? I don't think dedicated servers is something like a 12-year-old wants, depending on what they're playing. I don't really think that has anything to do with your age or anything like that. I think that has to do with you, that I know for this fact that you play Destiny, and Destiny desperately needs dedicated servers for their PvP aspect, but I digress. I think like this is a concern for myself as well. I think some of it also has to do with keeping yourself relevant and trying the new IPs, checking those out. I think that helps in terms of introducing you to new gameplay mechanics. I know, like, my dad, as an example, he struggles tremendously with like using triggers, because he's also been like he plays like just very basic games on computer, and he uses like keyboard and mouse. So like having his hands together, like using the triggers, I think that is something that is a challenge for him. However, like somebody like me moved on from like the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo, where it had the triggers, and then like different triggers, and the Z button on the 64, and then the PlayStation came out and it had like then it started introducing the dual triggers, and I think that and then we started getting like the thumbstick and analogs, and I think they didn't just go from 4-button controllers to 14-button controllers. It went from like 4 to 7 to 8, and they kind of moved up. the biggest thing that I think that we have to worry about, and as we get older, is the developers will not get older. The developers get younger.
No, so I was thinking about that for part of my answer for this. I feel like we'll just see just different game options because like I don't feel developers are going to change too much. Developers are always going to get younger, but I feel like the younger crowd are going to go more towards free to play multiplayer experiences. But there's still going to be a market. You know, you'll I don't know what our version of boomers are, but when me and Dave are boomer age, you know, we'll be harping on like we want our single player games. And then people are like, no, you want to pay for games? Like there'll be that thing of just like the younger generation will be like, no, I don't pay for games. What are you talking about?
And I think accessibility too. Like I noticed it when I booted up Valhalla. Like before you even started the game, there was like 6 or 8 different menus you had to go through to get it all set up.
Yeah, you can pick your difficulty for stealth, your difficulty for exploration, and your difficulty for combat.
I think it's just a matter of I think it's just a matter of knowing what you want to get out of the game. And we've all done it, or I've done it for reviews of where I'm like, okay, well the story is the most important part of this, so let's just knock it down to easy so that I can kind of just play through this game and not have to struggle in certain areas. And I think that could be something that happens, you know, later on where it's like whatever it is, like I want to play the Uncharted kid story, and I just want to, you know, like I'm just a broad ass example, you know, 10 years from now when like, you know, Nathan and I can't even think of her other name right now, have a kid or something, and you want to play through the story, and you know, you're just gonna knock it down to easy, and you know, and have the infinite bubble that my 5-year-old has when he plays Mario Galaxy or Mario Odyssey. When he jumps off the edge, it puts him in a bubble and puts him back where he jumped off.
Yeah. Well, so like I don't ever, part of the question is like he doesn't see himself never not playing games, and I don't see myself either. And also, but I'm also not afraid of change. Like I embrace change and evolution of things. You know, but the people that aren't are like the people now that like shit on new games and just talk about how great the Contra days were. You know, like they're just be like hunkered down in their bunker, like talking about like how the gaming never got better than the Super Nintendo era.
Right.
You know, like those people will just play retro games. Now, retro games in 20 years might be someone 40 years old that's like, oh, do you remember Minecraft when it was good? You know, and they'll have their own dedicated Minecraft server. You know,
back in my day, Watch Dogs was the premier open world shooter.
Yeah, no one would say that, but it's possible. But you'll just have different retro gamers who just won't move beyond. Like every year, there's someone who like hunkers down is like, this is my thing, and that will be their thing for the rest of their lives, whether it's Minecraft or something else. So you'll just see that. But me, like I evolve a lot with the games I play. If you ask me, you know, what games I was playing 10 years ago to what I'm playing now, it's dramatically different style of game or the genre. So I don't see myself like aging out just because I'm willing to evolve. Will I ever hit the point where I'm just like, I only play the games from back then? Maybe, but I doubt that's going to happen. But that's like the worst I can see it going for most gamers is they just hunker down and like play retro shit, whatever that retro shit may be.
Well, and I think that especially even for me, like my kid situation has helped with it as well. You know, like my oldest son, he was getting into gaming. Owen's gotten into it as well, and he's looking at some stuff. Like Owen's been playing this Pikmin demo on the Switch, and I haven't played a Pikmin game in years. And apparently this, you know, my wife almost bought him Pikmin the other day. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like $60. Like,
hey, the kid deserves it.
You know, and so we're just, you know, I'm like, well, Christmas is like 5 weeks away. Like, so it's, well, you know, but I think that, you know, keeping up with some of those things and seeing, you know, what they're doing and just even the randomness, like my oldest Jonathan, he plays Among Us with like a bunch of his friends, but they don't play Among Us like what I watch on stream. They play Among Us like a hide and seek alternative mod version of it. And and they're having fun with it. Like, I don't like, so as long as I think that aspect continues to grow and as long as you're willing to evolve and see and pay attention to the change and try the change, like I think that you'll be fine.
But I think a key is your reaction to them playing Among Us like that. Was it what is that bullshit? It's like they're having fun, and I think that's a key difference. Is like you'll get a lot of people that are just so stuck in their ways that they'll just talk shit about whatever new game is out, as opposed to being like, oh, that Among Us game, they're having fun, good for them, you know. And I think that's like a thing that will like keep you more in tune to like continuing to play games and be more accepting of future stuff, as opposed to just being like the grumpy guy.
Yeah. All right. So those are our questions. Spotlight, I easily is just, it's next gen week. We're getting new systems.
Yeah, yeah, just same. Spotlight, new consoles. I don't know what our streaming plans will be for this week. I might be just messing around with the consoles before I hook it up to PC to stream.
Yeah, I like right off the bat, like I don't even like to be honest with you, without an optical port in the PS5, I have to change some of my setup stuff. So it's like I'll have to mess with that. So that might not be until like Saturday.
You got to request one of those ports that are going for the headsets, and then use one of those.
Oh god, that sounds terrible. I'll have to go.
Just request one of those that I think Astro are giving away for if you have an Astro headset.
Yeah,
that might be your only way.
So I'll have to check into some of that and see how that works. But you know, obviously with like Destiny will be out. I'll be messing around with that. I put a poll up in the Facebook group just to kind of see. And then Michael's like, "What are you talking about? You're going to stream that game?" Like,
yeah.
So and then I'll probably post some pictures of the Xbox Series S. You know, just to or maybe answer some questions for you guys or give you guys an idea how that works, and we'll see how that stuff goes. But for the most part, I mean, just follow us on social media. The main account is at Digital Days Pod. Michael's is at the first MJC. And mine is at Good Dave Hunt. You can join the Facebook group and the Discord. Links are in the description. Patreon is in the description as well. Just check that out. If you want to support us through Patreon, that would be appreciated. And the PayPal link is in there as well. If you want to, like, I don't know, buy me Spider-Man, that'd be great. Kidding.
Dave, what you need to do with your Series S, which I don't think anyone's done yet. So what I want you to do, day one, since you don't have a data cap and you have fast internet, I want you to go to Game Pass, sort by most popular, and see how many of the most popular games you can get before you fill up that hard drive.
Okay.
I feel like that'd be like a fun experiment of just like you can get 3 of the most popular games on Game Pass.
Yeah, I'll check it out. So yeah, we'll definitely have some cool coverage. If anything like crazy happens like this week with like something weird or something, like a really cool like experience happens on either system, Michael and I might jump on and record something like on Saturday or something, Saturday or Sunday. But other than that, like we hope everyone has a great week. I hope you guys are enjoying your systems. I hope maybe you're listening to this while you're hooking your system up and you're cursing at the size of your PS5 that doesn't fit in your entertainment center because that thing is big.
I gotta figure that out.
Just don't forget that you're like the base on the PS5. It turns and you got to put the bolt back in there. Don't forget to put the bolt in there.
I hope it's cat proof, man. My cats are gonna knock that shit down.
What are you talking about? This thing's bigger than your cat.
I know, but that which means they're going to want to jump on it.
All right. I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick and wear a mask.